So we begin discussing, as you can see, just general thoughts of the nervous system. What comes to your mind when you think of the nervous system besides the brain? What else might come to your mind? Okay, nerves, of course, and there's many different types. Okay, there's when we think of nerves, there's axons. These are structures, axons, dendrites. There's glial cells, those astrocytes, there's Schwann cells. There's very quite an array of different types of cells that make up your nervous system. Okay, and other aspects, one of you individuals was coming up and going to perhaps ask a question. I just started waving like this. Okay? One of the, wasn't looking at him or at them or her, whichever way you want to look at it. Okay? One of the ways I like to think of Mr. Mahomes from Kansas City is, I think one of the things he would tell his receivers is, just because I'm not looking at you doesn't mean I don't see you. For those of you who might follow football, he does some pretty radical things, especially being able to do one of these things, running this way and then throwing across his body like that. Not even looking, but seeing someone who's open on the other side, maybe not entirely on the other side, but being able to do things like that is actually pretty phenomenal. But those guys have to perform at quite a high level. One of the things I think you would agree with, no matter what sport you may move forward with, whether it's volleyball, basketball, track, or any one of those, every time you meet that next level, it's one of those aspects you might tell yourself, I can't believe they moved this fast. Okay? And what about, for instance, have any of you had to volunteer, officiate basketball? Yes? No? Would you want to do that? Shaking our head, no? Okay. And especially if you follow college athletics, maybe you go out and watch Augustana or SPSU. They really don't have double headers anymore, do they? At Division One. I mean, SPSU might, USD might, but I think you'd agree that the men are moving much faster. I mean, maybe yes, maybe of course there's some good women's teams out there as well, but just the idea of having a well-tuned nervous system again is quite phenomenal. So, what does the nervous system do for you? We just said some general ideas. And you said neurons or nerve cells. So, what do you think the nervous system does for you? And part of it, we will talk about what we had discussed last chapter as well. Okay? So, part of the aspect of our nervous system, of course, what are we feeling, thinking, memory, our sense of awareness? Those are going to be 4 functions of the brain that we'll have you discuss in further detail when we get to that aspect. Okay? So when you look at this, okay, certainly feel different parts with your nervous system. You say your feet might hurt. You're always going to maybe notice that your feet hurt the most because just like your fingers and your toes or your feet have lots of what's in them in regards to the nervous system. They have lots of nerve endings in there, okay? With parts of different aspects, we know that there's 5 functions, okay? There is the sense of touch, taste, hearing, seeing, and what am I missing? Smell, okay? And when we get into, again, part of the central nervous system, there are 12 cranial nerves that you'll be responsible for naming front to back. That sounds like a daunting task, but we go through a type of mnemonic device or an acronym to go through. Like I think it goes on Olympic Tower tips. A Finn and a German did something. I can't quite remember. I always got to review that. But the three O's on Old Olympic stand for the first three cranial nerves: your olfactory, your optic, and your oculomotor. Those are your first three cranial nerves. Okay, so that would be something not so much that you're feeling, unless you got hit in the eye with something. Okay, it may be tied to your memory, something that you may have seen before, and it may be tied to your thinking as well, and certainly a sense of awareness. Okay? So when it comes to thinking, I don't know why this was in here, but okay. You're in your pre-calculus. Do you call it senior math or pre-calculus, or what do you call it? Okay. You ever heard of a Fibonacci sequence? Okay. You ever do a problem like that? Isn't it just like repeating patterns? Kind of like this was in my room for some reason. Okay. And with that, when you look at the bottom, there's certainly a Fibonacci sequence that goes with that. And this is part of, maybe you could say, your memory, but certainly that of thinking. Some people say their left brain, some people say their right brain. So when you look at the bottom, can you see the pattern that arises from that? If you can, fine. If not, we'll certainly go through that. Take a quick gander. You see, numbers are big. That's what we're talking about, the numbers. Okay? So with that, do we see a pattern arise from that? Are you nodding your head? Yes. Okay? So at this point, you can kind of take another gander at this. All right, so the pattern is what when it comes to addition? That's the clue. Yeah, you add the first two numbers and you get the next one. Then you add the next two numbers to get the next one. Okay? I've heard of the Fibonacci sequence, but I really don't remember discussing that in calculus. And these in nature are just repeating patterns of what you would see and that of a Fibonacci sequence. Okay. How many of you think you are right brain, where you're more so spontaneous? Or left brain means you're more so into abstract thought. Creativity goes with being right brain, spontaneous, maybe more so of the liberal arts with English and poetry and that's art. So, and then when it comes to being left brain, maybe more so into abstract thought. In other words, problem solving, math and science. Maybe we're all left brain individuals. Now, that doesn't mean that if you are left-handed, that doesn't mean you can't be left-brained too. And what you learn in elementary, why would we say that? If you're left-handed, you can still call yourself a left-brained individual. Because what is that? What do we mean by cross paths? Does anybody know? Yes, the right brain controls the left side of the body. That's what we mean by crossing over. Okay. And that can be a very valuable tool when it comes to diagnosing someone who may have a stroke. Okay? Does anyone know what a stroke actually is? There's a blood clot in the brain, and if someone cannot move the left side of their body, that might mean there's a blood clot on the right side of the brain. Okay? So just that little bit let's say, a very good diagnostic tool. I can't quite remember what the actual acronym to go through, but if someone is maybe slumped, and I wouldn't say slumped over, but gosh, there's no facial expressions. One side of their face is drooping. Ask them to smile, stand, raise their hands, okay? Because it's one of those aspects to where if you can't do something simple like this, that could be a clear indication. And the unfortunate side of that is I'm guessing that strokes can occur uh, even at your age. It's not very common, but it's possible. Okay, and with that, we continue moving forward. Again, okay. This question will pertain one individual here because we talked about cross country. Okay. And that would be, have you fallen victim to a sprinkler just turning on the golf course and having to run through it? Okay. So the reason we bring that up is if you've had experience with running through there, that pond water doesn't smell very good because it gets very stagnant. Okay. One of the things that I think that helps different types of golf courses is putting a fountain out in the middle. Because just like, why is it that, let's say your dividers up there, we make those, I won't say a solid plexiglass box, but one that could hold water. Okay. So you take your 10 goldfish and throw them in that tank. And that's all it is, just a tank of water. You don't change it. Eventually, what happens to your fish? They will die. Why is that? Not because of old age, not because of not feeding them. Yeah, they run out of oxygen because it's not being circulated. That's why you have that pump in that would circulate in your fish tank. I think for the same reason, some of these golf courses put a fountain in there because it helps circulate the water, not because of fish, because it won't smell as bad. That's just maybe a theory of mine. Now, whether it's accurate or not, that I really don't know. But when you smell something really bad, how's that tied into what's nausea, feeling nauseated? If you have nausea, that means you're not feeling very well, and you may soon do what? You may throw up. And there's a specific type of center in your stomach that is prone to these chemical changes. From last chapter that we discussed, there's specific pits, gastric pits, because those are responsible for adapting to different types of chemical changes that may cause different type of nausea to take place and then may cause you to throw up. Okay? Or I would say from laughter from dumb jokes. That doesn't cause nausea. Maybe it does. Uh, Probably. So I didn't have a whole lot to go through today. We're going to stop there for today. We will pick up with axons and dendrites tomorrow. So this is a long process, so we'll catch up to you next time.